Scheherazade Stories. Tonight's story is about watching and being watched. The interview room was empty when I arrived. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the fact that it had already been booked. Room 3B, 9 to 9:30. Status completed. I checked my watch. It was 8:42 a.m. The booking system didn't glitch. Not like this. Every interview left something behind. Audio, notes, at least a name typed into the schedule. This one hadn't. I went inside anyway. 2 chairs, 1 table, a recorder bolted to the center, red light off. No coffee cups, no fingerprints, no signs of use. Except for one thing. A single page lay on the table, blank. But when I lifted it, I felt the impression of words pressed deep into the paper beneath. Someone had written hard, angry, or afraid. I held the page to the light. Faint lines appeared. I told them everything. My pulse tightened. I flipped the page. Another impression, lighter this time. They said it wouldn't be written down. That was my first problem, because every interview was written down. I left the room and headed for records. At the counter, I asked for the interview log from that morning. The clerk frowned at her screen. There was no interview, she said. I slid the printout across the counter. She stared at it longer than necessary. Then she lowered her voice. "You shouldn't have this," she said. "Why?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because the system auto-clears interviews without transcripts. They don't exist." "That's not a thing," I replied. She met my eyes. "It is now." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The transcript was never created. That was the agreement. I typed back. Who was interviewed? The reply came instantly. Someone who thought silence would protect them. I felt the air in the room shift. "What happens to them now?" I typed. The dots appeared, paused, then disappeared. Another message followed. They already told us everything. Behind me, a printer started running by itself. Paper spilled out onto the floor. Interview schedules, dates, times, all marked completed, all missing names. I bent down and picked one up. Tomorrow's date, room 3B, 9 to 9:30. My name was typed where the interviewees should have been. And for the first time that morning, I understood the real danger. This wasn't about what had been said. It was about what never needed to be recorded again. I didn't cancel the booking. That would have been the sensible thing to do. Flag the system, notify IT, pretend this was a clerical error and let someone else close it. Instead, I printed the schedule and folded it into my pocket, like a warning I wasn't ready to read again. Room 3B stayed empty the rest of the morning. No one came looking for it. No supervisor asked why a completed interview had no subject, no notes, no recording. The silence around it felt intentional, like a gap everyone had learned to step around without acknowledging. At noon, someone finally did notice me noticing. A woman from records stopped by my desk. I didn't know her name. That was the point. People in records rarely had names you remembered. "You've been pulling logs you don't need," she said quietly. "I'm assigned to an open case," I replied. She glanced around, then leaned closer. "There is no open case. That's how these start." "These?" I asked. She straightened. Forget I said anything. Before she walked away, she added one more thing, barely audible. "Some people leave interviews lighter. Some don't leave at all." I spent the afternoon digging sideways, not into interview content, but into absences. Days when rooms were booked and never billed, recorders that showed usage hours without stored files, officers who had signed off on sessions they later claimed not to remember attending. The pattern wasn't in what existed, it was in what didn't. At 4:17 p.m., my phone rang. Private number again. "You're circling," the voice said. Calm, unhurried. That creates friction. "Who was interviewed this morning?" I asked. A pause, long enough to feel deliberate. "Does it matter?" the voice replied. "The outcome was the same." "You erased them," I said. "No," the voice corrected. "We concluded them." I stood and paced, lowering my voice. People don't conclude themselves. Some do. Others just need permission to stop carrying what they know. "And if they refuse?" I asked. "They don't," the voice replied. The line went dead. That evening I stayed late. Room 3B was unlocked. That shouldn't have been possible. After-hours access required a supervisor code. I didn't have one. The lights flicked on automatically as I stepped inside. The recorder set where it always did. Red light off, power cable connected. I pressed play. Static. Then a voice. Not the interviewers, not the subjects. Mine. "I understand," the voice said. Steady, calm. "I won't repeat it." My skin prickled. The recording cut off. I checked the timestamp. Tomorrow's date. I stepped back from the table. Someone else was already living through the interview they'd scheduled for me. I left the room and went straight to evidence storage, where old physical recordings went to be digitized or forgotten. I wasn't sure what I was looking for until I saw him. A man in his 40s, sitting alone near the lockers. No badge, no jacket, just a paper cup of water held between his hands. He looked up as I passed. "You're early," he said. "For what?" I asked. "For forgetting," he replied. My pulse jumped. "I was interviewed," he continued, "this morning." "You were in room 3B?" I asked. He nodded. "They told me there'd be no record, that it was better that way." "Do you remember what you said?" I asked. He smiled weakly. "I remember agreeing not to." I crouched in front of him. "What happens now?" I asked. He looked down at his hands. "I go home," he said. "And if I try to explain why I'm afraid, the words won't come out right." "That's it?" I asked. "That's enough," he replied. I watched him stand and walk out, unescorted, unmarked, already lighter in a way that felt wrong. Back at my desk, the booking system refreshed. Room 3B. Tomorrow, 0900 to 10:30. Status, confirmed. I opened the details. Interviewer, me. Interviewee, not listed. Notes field already filled. Subject consented to silence. I stared at the screen, understanding the truth that finally settled in. This wasn't an interrogation system. It was a release valve, and tomorrow they planned to turn it on me. I didn't sleep, not because I was afraid of the interview, but because part of me was already adjusting. I could feel it in the way my thoughts softened around the edges, how certain questions stopped feeling urgent the longer I held them. That was how it worked. Not force, permission. At 7:58 a.m., I stood outside room 3B, 2 minutes early. The door was closed, the light above it was on. Someone was already inside. I checked the schedule again. Still listed as confirmed, still no interviewee name. I pushed the door open. The room looked the same. 2 chairs, table, recorder. But this time, there was a woman sitting across from the empty interviewer's chair. Mid-40s, dark hair pulled back, hands folded neatly in front of her. She looked up and smiled with relief. "You came," she said. "Who are you?" I asked. She hesitated, like the answer required approval. "Someone who didn't finish," she said. I stayed standing. "You were interviewed," I said. "Yes," she replied. "Last year, same room." "And?" I asked. "And I didn't agree," she said. That landed heavier than any confession. They said it would be easier if I stopped insisting on remembering, that my testimony was a burden, not just to them, to me. "What did you say?" I asked. "I said no," she replied. I glanced at the recorder. "Then why are you here now?" She followed my gaze. "Because they don't like unresolved sessions," she said. "They keep scheduling me, quietly, hoping one day I'll come back tired enough." "And today?" I asked. "Today," she said softly, "they scheduled you." My phone buzzed in my pocket. "Begin session." I ignored it. "Why tell me this?" I asked her. "Because once you sit down," she said, "you'll stop noticing what you're giving up." I looked at the chair. It did look comfortable. That frightened me more than anything else. "What happens if I walk out?" I asked. "They'll reschedule, again and again, until you don't." I stepped closer to the table. "And you?" I asked. She smiled sadly. "I've been walking out for a year." "How are you still you?" I asked. She tapped her temple. "I write everything down, every time, even when it feels stupid." I pulled my notebook from my coat and placed it on the table. The recorder's red light flickered, then turned on by itself. A voice filled the room. Not mine, not hers. "Begin session," it said. Neutral, calm, impossible to place. The woman stiffened. "That's new," she whispered. The voice continued. "This session will not be recorded." I laughed once, sharp. "You're already recording." Recording is not transcription, and transcription is not memory. I picked up the recorder and unplugged it. The red light stayed on. The woman stood. "That's also new," she said. The voice paused. "You are creating instability," it said. "Good," I replied. I opened my notebook and started writing, not listening, writing. The woman leaned over my shoulder, reading along. The voice spoke faster now. Explanations, reassurances, soft language designed to smooth sharp edges. I didn't look up. The room felt smaller, hotter. "Stop writing," the voice said. "No," I replied. The recorder crackled, then went silent. The light went out. The woman exhaled shakily. For the first time, the room felt like a room again. "What happens now?" she asked. I closed the notebook. "Now," I said, "we see who notices the silence." Outside, footsteps approached. Not rushed, controlled. Someone knocked. Not hard, confident. I met the woman's eyes. "This is where they explain," she said. I stood between her and the door. "No," I replied. "This is where they have to answer." The knock came again. Same rhythm. Calm. Certain. The kind of knock that assumes the door will open. I didn't move. Neither did the woman. The silence stretched long enough that the system behind the door had to adjust its expectations. That, I was learning, was always the pressure point. Finally, the voice spoke again, not from the recorder this time, from the hallway. "You don't need to be afraid," it said. I opened the door halfway. A man stood there, late 50s, gray suit, no badge, no visible authority, the kind of person who passed through buildings without ever being stopped. "You're interfering with the therapeutic process," he said. "By listening?" I asked. "By insisting on permanence," he replied. "Some knowledge is only harmful when it's carried forward." The woman behind me laughed softly. "That's what you told me." He glanced past me, saw her, and his expression tightened just a fraction. "You again," he said. You were given opportunities. I was given exits, she replied. I chose doors. He looked back at me. You understand how heavy this is, he said. People come in here broken, afraid. They leave lighter. They leave edited, I said. Is that worse? He asked. Yes, I replied, because no one consented to forgetting what they never stopped knowing. He sighed, as if genuinely tired. We don't erase, he said. We redistribute. We keep systems functional. And if the system breaks, I asked. Then chaos fills the gap, he said. People lose faith. Institutions collapse. I stepped aside, fully opening the door. Come in, I said. Explain it on record. He hesitated. The hallway lights flickered. There is no record, he said carefully. I held up my notebook. There is now. The woman stepped forward and placed her own notebook on the table, thick, worn, full. Then I heard footsteps behind him. More than one set. The man closed his eyes briefly. That won't help you, he said. The transcripts won't be admissible. Maybe not, but they'll be remembered. He studied me like a calculation that refused to resolve. You're choosing weight, he said. I'm choosing witnesses, I replied. He nodded once. Then this ends our agreement, he said. What agreement? I asked. The one you didn't remember making, he said. He turned and walked away before the officers reached him. They never stopped him. That was the last lesson. The interview room was shut down by noon, officially from maintenance, unofficially because the booking system started duplicating sessions it couldn't complete. People noticed. A clerk spoke up, then another, then someone who had left lighter and didn't understand why the fear had come back. The woman stayed. She testified. Not in court, not yet. She told her story to anyone who would listen. So did I. No one called it a scandal. They called it a misunderstanding, a procedural anomaly. But Room 3B was never used again, and interviews started leaving traces. Small ones, in margins, in notebooks, in people who refused to put things down just because someone told them it would feel better. Sometimes, late at night, I pass that hallway. The door is still there, locked now. The light above it stays off. And every so often, my phone buzzes with a message from an unknown number. No words, just a timestamp, and the reminder that silence only works when no one insists on remembering what was never written down.